Everything about our brand is about accessibility and enjoying all of your life, not just saving it for weekends or your vacation or your retirement.
What if the smile you loved for decades was hiding a heartbreaking secret? Rachael Ray, America's kitchen sweetheart, is now facing the fight of her life, and her husband might be preparing for a quiet goodbye. But what really happened behind the scenes? And why are those closest to her bracing for the worst? Stick around, because what you're about to hear will change how you see their love story forever. They built a life on laughter, food, and the belief that joy should never be reserved for vacations or weekends. Rachael Ray, the spirited culinary star who brought warmth and flavor into millions of homes, now finds herself at a crossroads no recipe could ever prepare her for. In a quiet but devastating turn of events, her husband John Cusimano is standing by her side for something neither of them ever saw coming. A painful goodbye wrapped in the harsh reality of a life-changing diagnosis. Their love story, once filled with shared passions and adventure, has entered an uncharted and heartbreaking chapter. For over 20 years, Rachael Ray has been the face of comfort, offering more than just 30-minute meals. She was a symbol of hope, connection, and energy. From cheerful TV appearances to heartfelt cookbooks, she transformed home cooking into a celebration. Her kitchen felt like home for millions. That familiar smile and infectious laugh gave people a sense of belonging. But now, behind those bright eyes, something deeply personal is unfolding. John, her devoted partner through decades of fame, is now preparing for a reality no one could have anticipated. This isn't just about an illness, it's about facing each day like it might be the last, holding on to memories as tightly as they hold each other. When the woman known for unstoppable enthusiasm quietly steps back from the spotlight, fans can't help but ask, what's really going on? This emotional shift has peeled back the curtain on a life filled with more struggle than the world ever knew. Their bond, forged through the fire of public life, is now being tested in the most intimate way. For years, Rachael and John appeared unshakable. But behind the scenes, a silent battle has emerged. Those close to her reveal she's been living with a serious illness, something that even her closest allies hadn't expected. And through it all, she's shown nothing but grace. What does it take to keep smiling when your world is quietly falling apart? The answer lies in Rachael's unyielding will. Her fans are reeling. How could someone who seemed so full of life, so grounded and vivacious, be facing something so difficult? But Rachael, ever the fighter, refuses to be defined by her circumstances. Even on her hardest days, she finds a way to shine. Behind closed doors, though, the weight is real. John remains her steady hand, not just as a partner but as the unwavering force who refuses to let her go through it alone. Their days now carry a different meaning. Each moment is sacred. Their love story has become a testament to enduring devotion, the kind of bond that deepens when everything else begins to fall away. Rachael's spirit, once focused on food and family, is now centered on survival and legacy. And yet, there's something unmistakably radiant about her strength. But to understand how Rachael Ray got here, how she became such an enduring figure, we have to return to the beginning. Long before the cameras, before the magazine covers, there was a girl from a quiet town in New York with big dreams and even bigger determination. The roots of her journey are as rich as her recipes. Born in Glens Falls on August 25, 1968, Rachael grew up in a household where food was more than just nourishment. It was culture, it was family, it was love. Her mother, Elsa Scuderi, brought Sicilian traditions into every dish, turning the kitchen into a sanctuary of sizzling pans and the smell of fresh herbs. These early memories shaped Rachael's view of food not as a task, but as a bridge between people. When her family moved to Lake George, her world grew. It was there that her parents opened restaurants that became staples in the community. Rachael was in the thick of it from the start, balancing high school at Lake George Junior Senior High with long hours in the kitchen. While most teenagers were thinking about dances and football games, she was learning how to manage a dining room, prep ingredients, and charm customers. Her passion: fresh ingredients, rich flavors, and human connection. That clarity brought her back home. In 1996, she returned to Lake George to manage dining operations at the prestigious Sagamore Resort. There, she noticed something interesting. People loved food but feared the kitchen. So she began teaching simple, effective cooking techniques, meals you could make in 30 minutes without stress. These classes weren't just about food. They were about confidence, and people were hooked. One local news station, WRGB, saw her spark and invited her on air. Viewers instantly fell in love with her casual, magnetic style. She wasn't pretending to be a chef. She was a friend sharing tricks in her kitchen. Audiences connected with that authenticity. Suddenly, a local food enthusiast became a regional sensation. By the late 1990s, Rachael was on the brink of something big. Her relatable recipes and cheerful personality struck a chord across the country. The Food Network came calling, and in 2001, 30-minute meals debuted to roaring success. Unlike high-end shows that felt out of reach, Rachael's show made cooking fun, fast, and inviting. Her fame skyrocketed. In 2006, she launched The Rachael Ray Show, blending celebrity interviews, lifestyle segments, and, of course, recipes. That same year, she partnered with Harpo Productions and CBS, backed by none other than Oprah Winfrey. The show became a daily staple, and her influence extended far beyond food. But even as she built a media empire, Rachael never lost her sense of purpose. She remained grounded, loyal to her roots, and committed to making life better for others. And now, as she faces her most personal challenge yet, that same strength is what carries her forward. Her story isn't just one of fame. It's one of purpose, of family, and of fighting for every moment that matters. Back in the day, flipping through a glossy magazine and stumbling on familiar recipes, DIY hacks, and everyday wisdom felt like catching up with an old friend. For over 10 years, one woman's name was quietly tucked into millions of American households: Rachael Ray. Her lifestyle magazine was more than print. It was a comforting ritual. Though it closed in 2019, the impression it left still lingers, its legacy woven into the fabric of modern home life. But Rachael never let a closed chapter mean the end. Instead, she leaned into the unexpected: pets. Her love for animals turned into something powerful in 2008 when she launched Nutrish, a pet food brand built with a mission that stood apart. All proceeds would support animal rescue efforts. It wasn't just another celebrity label. It was heartfelt, practical, and deeply personal. And the world noticed. Fans didn't just buy it, they believed in it. As the pages of time kept turning, Rachael kept stepping forward. When her beloved show 30-Minute Meals signed off in 2012, it marked the close of a cultural chapter. But she didn't flinch. Her talk show was still drawing millions. Her cookware lines were multiplying, and she stayed hungry for new ways to connect. Then, in 2020, the world paused. But Rachael hit record. From her own kitchen, she broadcasted directly into people's homes, stripped of studio polish, just real moments and real meals. That quiet shift became a turning point. Viewers felt like they weren't watching a show. They were cooking with a friend. By 2021, she had made the internet her playground, hosting live cooking classes and dropping tips that felt as fresh as the first time she said, "Evo." That kind of reinvention? It's rare. And in 2022, she kept giving, supporting food banks, disaster relief efforts, and staying true to her lifelong promise of animal advocacy. His band released albums, toured, and built a loyal fan base without ever compromising authenticity. As his relationship with Rachael Ray blossomed, a new door opened. Suddenly, he wasn't just the man behind the scenes, he became part of the story. Appearing regularly on Rachel's shows, John charmed audiences with his unique cocktail creations, turning mixology into a form of performance art. A cocktail wasn't just a drink, it was a mood, a memory, a moment. Still, John kept his privacy guarded. He never sought the spotlight for himself, never played into the Hollywood fame machine. He preferred to stay behind the curtain, letting his work and his passions speak for him. But even seemingly picture-perfect love stories have chapters written in shadows. Rachel and John's marriage began in a fairy tale setting, an intimate wedding in Tuscany in 2005. Every year, they returned to that same Italian villa, a private celebration of something pure. But in 2013, troubling whispers made their way into the tabloids. Allegations surfaced, accusing John of straying. A woman from Florida claimed he'd paid for her company and engaged in destructive behavior. Then came more rumors, other names, other stories, enough to stir a media storm. The foundation of their marriage appeared shaken. Still, Rachel didn't flinch. She dismissed the gossip as baseless, calmly asserting that she knew where her husband was every night. With fierce loyalty, she stood by him as both denied the claims. They never wavered publicly, never allowed the headlines to control their truth. For years now, they've continued forward, arms locked, weathering storms in silence. But perhaps one of the most haunting chapters in Rachel's past unfolded far from TV cameras and kitchen sets. Back in the late 90s, while living in Queens and working in Manhattan, Rachel experienced a terrifying encounter in the entryway of her apartment building. Days later, the same man returned. The trauma that followed forced Rachel to leave New York and return to the Adirondacks. That move wasn't just about safety. It became the start of everything. Managing restaurants at the Sagamore Resort, she began offering quick cooking classes. That idea, 30-minute meals, sparked a wildfire. Even tragedy couldn't stop her. In 2013, her beloved aunt, Geraldine, tragically died while house-sitting Rachel's upstate property. Locked out in frigid weather, she tried breaking in, but never made it back inside. The incident shattered Rachel's family. Some blamed her. When Rachel missed the funeral due to filming commitments, the accusations grew louder. But she pressed on, her heart scarred but not silenced. Rachael Ray's kitchen was once filled with laughter, the clatter of pans, and that unmistakable voice millions had grown to love. But now, silence occasionally fills the space where energy once danced. A voice that had comforted viewers through countless meals and busy weekday evenings now faltered under the weight of something she never saw coming. And just when it seemed like the worst was behind her, life threw in another twist that would shake the very core of everything she'd built. For years, Rachel lived in high gear: TV tapings, cookbook signings, appearances, charity work. She was a force of nature, the woman who could make spaghetti taste like a hug. But as her steps began to slow and her sentences grew faint, fans sensed something was wrong. The public only saw her smile. They didn't see the hours she spent recovering between shoots, cooking experiments gone wrong, concerts, ordinary moments, extraordinary in hindsight. It was his way of holding on, and hers too. This was not a couple surrendering. This was two people choosing to remember, to fight, to love even more fiercely while time allowed it. Even as Rachel's voice grew softer, her message grew louder. Fans began to notice her shift. Episodes became more reflective. Her words held more weight. She spoke often of gratitude, of legacy. "Food is love," she'd say, "and love is the only thing that sticks around." She wasn't just teaching recipes anymore. She was teaching resilience. Every plate of pasta was a reminder that life, no matter how uncertain, was still worth savoring. Behind the scenes, Rachel's empire continued to evolve. Her financial footprint, meticulously built over decades, revealed the depth of her strategic mindset. At her peak, Rachael owned multiple luxurious properties, including a stunning 6-acre estate in Lake Luzerne and a sleek Manhattan apartment. Her garage housed vehicles like a Range Rover Autobiography and a Porsche Cayenne, symbols of success, but never the focus. She often wore understated luxury, like her signature Cartier Ballon Bleu watch, a gift from Jean. The couple's private jet, co-leased with partners for efficiency, allowed them to travel discreetly between work and wellness getaways. Business-wise, Rachael wasn't just a cook, she was a brand architect. She held equity in cookware lines, collaborated with Nutrish Pet Foods, and invested early in lifestyle startups focused on wellness and organic living. Her production company, Watch Entertainment, not only created her shows but also developed content for other rising talents. Financial experts revealed that she maintained robust insurance policies, covering career disruptions, health coverage, and legacy estate planning, an unusual but smart move in the volatile world of entertainment. And yet, for all the success, it was never about the assets. Rachael's biggest wealth, she often said, was the ability to bring people together. That truth, spoken quietly from a woman who had spent years fighting to be heard, was perhaps the most powerful financial lesson of all. She proved that wealth wasn't in the watches or the homes, but in how you protect what truly matters: your family, your health, and the memories that no market crash can erase. Now, as Rachael rests more often and appears less frequently on screen, her fans wait with bated breath. Not just to hear her voice again, but to know she's okay. And while John hasn't spoken directly to the media, his silence says more than words could. In his music, listeners claim to hear the ache, the love, the quiet goodbye stitched between lyrics. A man who stood at her side through triumph and now stands firm in the shadow of uncertainty. But this isn't a farewell, not yet. Because Rachael Ray has never been one to walk away quietly. She might be down, but she's never been out. This chapter may be slower, more fragile, but it's no less profound. It's filled with gratitude, courage, and the kind of love that doesn't fade, even when the lights dim. What remains is a story that inspires, of a woman who cooked through storms, smiled through pain, and taught the world that warmth can be served in 30 minutes or less. And of a man who loved her so fiercely, he learned how to say goodbye without ever letting go. What would you do if the person you loved most needed you to be stronger than ever before? Let us know in the comments, and if Rachael's journey moved you even a little, hit like, subscribe, and keep her in your thoughts. Because sometimes, the greatest comfort is knowing the world hasn't stopped listening.